Now that we've set up the accounts and added the assets to Business Manager, it's time for us to discuss the users and permissions section of Facebook Business Manager to see how do we manage our team and the permissions around that. So first of all, in the users section, you will see three parts. That would be people, meaning your team or individuals, that's individual personal Facebook accounts. Partners, which are other business managers, meaning it could be an agency that you're working with or a client's business manager, and they could be found here in partners. As you can see, for example, for this MCC, we have for the Startup Masters 1 business manager, we have a partner which is Startup Masters, which is the original business manager for our company. Then in the third section for system users, you have some specific cases where you need to add system users mainly to manage some of the apps that you have. So this is a specific case which you can read more about over here and check that how it works and so on. But that's really not important for pretty much 99% of the cases. So system users are only necessary if you need to give specific system users permissions to your apps or other assets, which is really a very rare case. So let's start with people. When you click on the add button, you will face several quite important options. So first of all, you need to ask someone to join your team or your business manager, meaning that you are going to give them a set of permissions to work on certain assets in your Facebook Business Manager. What you need to write over here is their Facebook email, not their professional email, not anything they're using, but most people actually use their personal emails to work with Facebook. So you need their Facebook email, the one that they use to register on Facebook. Now, once you do that, so let's say I have a user that's called email@domain.com, and then I need to assign them a role. This is very important and you need to be very careful about it. Now, most of the time you want to add people as employees, and they can only work on assigned assets, accounts, and tools. This is very important because the other option is to make them admins. Now, once someone is an admin, as it says here, admins have full, and by full they mean 100% control over your business, and they can edit settings, people, accounts, and tools. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of making people admins, like for example their agency, or sometimes even their employees are admins of their Facebook Business Manager. Now, just to show you a good example of that, for this particular business that we are working with, I am an admin of their entire business manager, which means that I can go here to the people section and I can kick every single person out. So I can claim ownership of this just by kicking everyone out. Now, I can do that. I can't do that because we have a contractual obligation with them, and based on their contract, they could potentially sue me or anything like that. But if they didn't have a contract with us, that meant that I can simply steal their entire business manager, which is, as you can see, very easy to do. I just remove them one by one, and now this is my business. and go and prove to Facebook and to the notaries and so on that it's your business, and so on. I can cause a lot of damage. So that's why you want to be very, very careful when giving permissions as admin to people, because just like you are now an admin giving access to another person, once you make them an admin, then they can kick you out, right? Because they are now an admin too, and they can remove you just the same way as you added them, right? So that's a very important thing to understand, because we have seen it happening. Let's say that would be name at email at domain.com, our favorite friend over here. And then sometimes you also have the advanced case of finance analyst, which means that they can review financial details such as transactions, invoices, account spending, and payment methods. So this is generally your accountant, so that they can review the invoices. And in most corporations, it's not actually the CEO or you or the admins holding the payment details, like the credit card of the company and all the billing details. So that sometimes would be the accountant again that has to come into the account and set up the payments and billing, which we'll discuss in a later video. But there's not much of a problem making your accountant a finance editor, meaning that they can edit business card information and financial details such as transactions, invoices, accounts, spend, and payment methods, right? So that's something that your accountant you could give them access to that, and they should just add your billing and not touch the account, because they don't know unless they know what they're doing regarding the ads and the management of the spending of the money, then that's the case that you can do. Sometimes some people can also be responsible for these things. So for example, it could be your agency managing that for you, and that's also fine. That's not as dangerous as making someone an admin. So in this case, I will go to next, and guess what happens? Once you invite someone, you can assign them access to specific assets, right? And in this case, I can say I want to provide this person with access to this page and that page, and then I can do that. What I can also do, let's say I want to give them access to these two pages, and let's say I want them to be able to do these things, and then I can invite them. That's one way of doing it. But because sometimes you can have literally hundreds of pages, lots of accounts, and lots of properties. If you are managing a big company, sometimes, like if you imagine the Coca-Cola company, they have one page in each country, they have a lot of ad accounts. It's a mess, right? And so this is where the business asset groups come into place. Now I have my own business asset group, so what I can do is add people, and then here I can add the person. Once they have joined my team, I can give them all the permissions to the entire asset group much easier, right? Because right now, this guy at name at domain.com is still pending and I can't add them, but generally I could have done that through the asset group. I can also assign partners from here. That would be the next section that we're going to cover. And from here, I can easily I can obviously add myself, since I'm the only user in that account, and I'm already here. If I kick myself out of that asset group, then I would be able, I should be able to add myself. I don't know why I can't. Maybe I need to refresh the page first so that it gets that I'm kicked out. And then now that, yeah, here I am. And now I can assign myself permissions to the entire asset group, right? Which is cool and easier in general. And now I have granted access to myself. once again. Moving on to the partners. In the partners section, what you can do is two things. You can give a partner access to your assets. So that option is here. You just go and put your business ID over here. And just to show you where you can find that, if you go to business info over here in Business Manager, you will see the Business Manager ID. And in this case, as partners, I've added Startup Masters, and I can share assets with them just like they were a user, but they are not a user. Granting access to that Business Manager means that all the admins of that Business Manager, which is important, and let's take a short second to discuss that. Once I grant access to a Business Manager, all the admins of that Business Manager can assign access to any of their people, right? Or any people who are part of their team. So that means that they can give access to further people to the assets that I have assigned them. And that's kind of, here you don't have the admin or non-admin functionality, right? You give them some assets and they have specific control over those assets, and they can provide other people with access. It's important to know, and that's kind of normal, right? You are providing access to a business, and hopefully it's going to be more than one person working on it. That's why you are providing access to those people. Also, if you are an agency, for example, and you want to ask someone to provide access to certain assets from their business account, you need to ask for that. And you can add a partner and request those assets from there. And so in order for you to do that, you need your partner to have a Facebook Business Manager account. Your client needs to have that, and that does not happen frequently, which is the very reason why we are starting with the setup, because a lot of the time the businesses or clients or yourself people don't have Facebook Business Manager very frequently, even though they are advertising, spending large sums of money and doing lots of other mistakes. You will very often encounter the case where they don't have a Facebook Business Manager. Sometimes you're going to have to create the Facebook Business Manager for your client or your business or your friends, and then ask that business manager to become your partner. And you will need access to their business ID, which I just showed you how to get, and then you will need their name and email address. So in this case, that would be myself, and I will add my email address, and then I need to request the business ID over here, and then I want to say what we are doing together, and there's three options. So first of all, I can be the agency that wants to manage their assets, and I can also be a brand or a business, and we can have a partnership, meaning, for example, that let's say Coca-Cola can decide to make a partnership with KitKat, and then we can run partnered ads. And so I can assign Coca-Cola and use their assets, meaning that they allow me to do that. So for example, I could do that with a specific brand and then use their branded materials and copyrighted and trademarked materials, and they allow me to do that. That's what a brand or business does, and I'll show you how to use it later in the ad. And then my partner's role is could be that, right? And for example, in this case, I'll be the media or agency, and my partner is going to be the brand or the business. And yeah, that's quite simple to do. And let's just give it some number, see if it's going to let us. And then I obviously gave it the wrong ID, which is not going to work. But then I am going to ask what permissions do I want them to provide me with. and I want access to everything, as I often do, and then I can confirm and review and click send. Now probably there's going to be an error. No, there's no error with that. Oh yeah, I just requested access to myself, which is funny, but you can still do that. And then sometimes they are not going to receive that notification and request for a partner, right? And that's sometimes a problem, which is why you can copy that link to the request, and then you can send them that link over chat or over email, and they can open that request up to approve it. Now obviously, since I requested it to myself, I can't approve it because I can't approve a request from myself. That would be a conundrum. And I can also cancel my request. Cool. Just to see, let's say I have another dummy business manager over here, and in this business manager there's some people, and there's also some pages and some ad accounts, right? That's Johan's cat, by the way. We are using this one for demonstration purposes, so let's copy that ID. And we can go back to our own business manager, which was the pink one. Where did it go? This one. And I can add and ask a partner to share their assets from here. Then click get started. Let's say that my name, I'm going to put my name here. And put the email. Put the Facebook business ID, say I'm the agency, they're the business. I'll just ask them for everything just like before. Confirm and review and send it. And now I have sent this request. So if we go to the different business manager right now, on their side, this is what they're gonna see. Hopefully. Yep, I can see that request and I can respond to that or decline it, and I will respond to the request. Click get started, and then this is the part where they have to share the assets and set the permissions, just like they're adding in a new user. It's just that the request came from you and made it easier for them to do that. If they don't see that request, here's where they find it, and if they don't know how to find it, that's what the link is for. And in this case, I want to give them access to these pages, and then I want to do it for this one, and there's no catalogs, there's no pixels, and I want to add the Instagram as well. So now I have myself a client. Yeah, and this just says that I did not grant access to everything that they wanted, but that's fine. We don't really care about right now. You gotta give it a second because it's adding the assets one by one, and boom, now we have a partner over here, and that partner, you can see assets that we have shared with them and assets that they have shared with us. And in this case, if I go back to my business manager, I can see that Daenerys is over here, and that's really cool. As you can see, when you invite a partner, I can create an asset group for all the assets that that partner has granted me, which is a good thing for you to do. Sometimes it's buggy. It's buggy because it didn't refresh my page. Yeah, you can create that asset group. It's better if you do it from here. And I can see all the assets that they have shared with me. Sometimes you can also share assets with them. And a good example of an asset that you can share with them is audiences. So as a marketing agency, we often create audiences for some things in our manager and then share it with them, which is something that that's cool for you to use. And that's pretty much everything about people and partners and users and permissions. Be careful, don't grant admin access to untrustworthy, to people you don't trust, who are not trustworthy. Be careful with that, because they can steal your account, and they can steal your entire business manager as well, and that can cause a lot of problems. And yep, that's everything on users and permissions.